Back in my younger years, I ain't saying that I ain't crawl on top of one of them big birds. I ain't gonna say that. Or one of them big birds ain't crawled on top of me. I ain't gonna say that. What I'm saying is, I just don't understand why this baby can't have no motherfucking Christmas.
Hello, black hole. See this brother win, man. Hey, look, what is it, win, baby? What is it, win, baby? What is it, win, baby? Kansas City. What the fuck is it, win, baby?
Hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com. Today's looky would be our Priscilla personality glasses. This would be the number 2 frame. And if you are not already a part of our book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube, and for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes you, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's talk about I'll Be There, The Four Tops by Duke Fakir. Please remember, all eyewear are currently on sale at uptopbeauty.com. Thank you for all of your support. Whenever I tell my story, I begin with my father, Nasim Ali Fakir. I'm told he was born in 1900 in East India, now known as Bangladesh. He was a devout Muslim and a wonderful father. As a young man in Bangladesh, my father had been a street singer and a maker of stairs. He eventually earned enough money to get to London, England, where he worked as a cook and chef, chasing his dream of getting to America to work in the car factories. He'd heard that any able-bodied man, no matter his color, could get a great job there and earn equal pay. Once he saved enough money, he booked passage on a freight boat to Windsor, Canada. Standing on the banks of the Detroit River, he looked across the 40-foot deep, 3.5-mile body of water and dove in. He battled the river's swiftly moving undertow to reach the Motor City, and he made it. Okay, y'all, I had to take off the blickies to put on the thickies. I got to put on these readers because I can't see, y'all. My vision has progressively gotten worse over the years. I mean, and I never really had good vision. Never. Just give me 1 second. I have never, ever in my life, even as a child, ever have been able to get my vision corrected to 2020. I wish I could work and get disability for that. God damn it. My mother, Ruby Leon Eckridge, was born in Sparta, Georgia in 1914. She moved to Detroit with her parents and her 6 sisters and brothers in 1925 during the first Great Migration, which saw millions of African Americans move to the industrial North seeking opportunity. She met my father in Detroit as she and her younger sister, Lilar, were walking past a pool room in the neighborhood. My father and another Indian gentleman, Mr. Uden, caught their eye and struck up a conversation that ended up in 2 marriages and 13 children between them. Although my parents were from different parts of the world, different races, and without a common language or culture, they both believed in the American dream. Both wanted to raise a family in peace and prosperity, and both were really religious, musical people. They rented a house early on and had 6 children, 3 boys, Asim, Abdul, Omar, and 3 girls, Aladi, Shazin, and Fatima. I was the fourth born, and my mother nicknamed me Dookie when I was a baby because she said that I was a little shitter. But he said by the time he got to high school, he had to change his name because he can't have, all the people in the high school calling him Dookie, Dookie. So he shortened it to Duke. We gonna call him Dookie in this book because I like that. Dookie. My mother was a devout Christian who later became a minister. She played the piano and was director of the choir in the church that her father founded, Oak Grove AME. My father must have moved to the same neighborhood she lived in as a young girl because he married her in 1930 when she was 16. Okay, she's 16. He's 14 years older than her, so that means he's 30. He 30, what the hell? My father must have moved to the same neighborhood she lived in as a young girl because he married her in 1930. When she was 16, he was 30. Her father helped him get a job at the Briggs Manufacturing Company, the automotive factory my grandfather worked in. Dreams are coming true. He wanted to come to America to work in the automotive industry, and voila, his wife made it happen for him. The North End in Detroit, which is where we lived, was a racially mixed community, a mix of black, white, Polish, Jewish, Indian, and Italian. My father became very close to Uncle Uden, who married my mother's sister. They made their home right behind my granddaddy's church, where Uncle Uden conducted religious classes about the Islamic faith. On Sunday mornings, my father would meet me after church services in his beautiful white suit and hat to take me to study his religion and the Bengali language. I learned a few words and phrases before my mother stopped him. She wanted her children to be raised as good Christians. After that, he would show up in church screaming, "Get my kids out of there! Jesus Christ, my ass!" And they would throw him out. So my parents eventually separated and divorced. You remember that term, equally yoked? Okay? Them two wasn't equally yoked. So, Lulu, what the fuck are you doing? We back with the blickies, okay? We had to take off the thickies, right? So, any rate, y'all know I went to private school for much of my early education. So, I was educated as a Catholic, okay? And one thing that I cannot get with, that I will never get with, Shasha La Vista to all the Muslims and the J-Dubs, okay? I love you, JWs. I do. To be quite honest with you, I do study some of the JW ways, but there are certain things that I just cannot get with, just like the Islamic faith. What you mean this baby can't have no Christmas? It's Christmas time. What you mean this baby can't go outside in a Halloween costume? It's Halloween. And they explained to me that if you know the reason as to why we do not celebrate holidays or birthdays, then you would understand. Educated as a Catholic, the daughter of an apostolic minister, there's no way that I can get with not celebrating holidays and birthdays. I just can't do it, especially me being the type of person that shows love through gifts, okay? So I know you like, well, Nay, you can give gifts throughout the year. That's true too, but this is what I want to do. Absolutely nothing towards the Islamic faith, because let me tell you something. Any faith, any organization that will make our black men better, I'm with it, okay? I'm just not with not giving my baby no birthdays, okay? It's Christmas. It's Christmas time. I want a motherfucking tree. I like to decorate. I like to see, diamonds and pearls everywhere. Now, I will say this now, okay? Back in my younger years, I ain't saying that I ain't crawl on top of one of them big birds, okay? I ain't gonna say that. All right, or one of them big birds ain't crawled on top of me. I ain't gonna say that. What I'm saying is, I just don't understand why this baby can't have no motherfucking Christmas. Back to the thickies. Unfortunately, my experience with Islam was short-lived. After my father lost the battle for my religious soul, I was raised in Oak Grove AME. I'm a devout Christian, but I am product of my father's Islamic religion too. Under my mother's musical supervision, I started off singing in the baby choir, then graduated to the junior choir, and eventually the senior choir, which consisted of most of my siblings and cousins. Singing in the choir wasn't an exceptional thing to do in my family, and I surely didn't have the best voice. Two of my sisters could outsing me. We all loved it though. It came with the territory as well as helping out at home and doing household chores since my mother worked during the day. I helped Shazin do the dishes, the family wash, and running errands. We always sang when we worked. At night, after homework and on weekends, we would play checkers, cards, and Scrabble together. I didn't see as much of my older brother Azim since he went to live with our father when my parents split. But he kept our family's musical tradition alive, playing saxophone and eventually starting his own group. One day, my mother singled me out during choir practice. "Duke, you have a beautiful voice," she said. "I want you to sing solo." I never liked singing alone. "Mama, I don't feel like that," I told her. "I just want to sing in the choir." My mother proudly announced that her son was going to sing a solo. I made it through the first verse and started into the chorus when I froze. I didn't feel frightened. I just couldn't sing another word. I started crying and sat down, embarrassed and humiliated. Mercifully, my mother directed the choir to pick up where I left off, and they finished singing the song. When I got home, my mother was angry and confused, demanding to know why I'd stopped singing. I had no real explanation. All I could say was that I couldn't help it. I didn't know why I choked. Off with the thickies, on with the blickies, okay? So let me say this. The following Sunday, the mother was like, "Look, Dookie, look, I understand you choked the first time, baby, but you got to believe in you the way I believe in you. And next Sunday, you're going to get in front of the choir and you're going to try it again." Some people go through traumatic experiences and want to stop right there. "Oh no, I didn't fell off the horse. I ain't never going to get back on a horse again. Oh no, I didn't had, the biggest pickle in the world. I don't never want to do pickles again. That big." To me, fear is not knowing what's on the other side. I used to be nervous about being confrontational. I am a Libra. I would, second guess talking smack back to people because I was fearful of the other person's reaction. I had to get that fear out of there. As long as my fear was standing in front of me and a bitch that's trying to carry me, I had to choose. Now, are you going to be fearful of confrontation forever? Or are you going to get in this bitch face and say, "What are you going to do?" Okay? Whether you whip my ass or not, we still going to have to figure it out. But once you get your ass kicked one good time, you be like, that wasn't too bad. I can do the ass kicking thing again. Be back in the church. Dookie, get your ass back up there. You're going to sing the same song and we're going to try it again. But this time, you're going to do it. You're going to complete the song and you're going to feel a sense of confidence when you're done. Okay? These are all the things that his mother is trying to instill in him. Son, do not be afraid. Okay? Child, answer no. What happened was he got back up there, froze at the same exact part. This time he didn't go sit down in the pews. He ran out the church into a woman that explained to him, "Son, your calling is to sing. Do not let this be your fear. This is what you are here to do." He absorbed it, changed his life. Moving forward, we then took off the blickies and we're back with the thickies. A few years later, a young friend of mine, Melvin, who lived near me in the North End, tried to convince me to skip school with him. We were living on Horton Street, and there were freight trains that ran nearby on the other side of East Grand Boulevard. "Duke, come on, let's skip school tomorrow and jump on them trains," Melvin said excitingly. The idea of hopping a train and riding on top of the world was thrilling to me. "Ooh," I said, That sounds exciting. Bullshit, the baker man. That don't sound exciting to me. Okay, but I'll continue. While I contemplated what to do, as plain as day, the voice inside me said, go to school, boy. I had no idea where that voice came from or whose it was, but it was strong enough to make me take a step back. When Melvin met me on the corner, ready to embark on our adventure, I apologized. Nah, man, I better go to school. I lived only a half a block away from Palmer Elementary. It's too close to home. Maybe next time. I wasn't sure if he'd go without me, but I went to school and put it out of my mind. Oh, I like Dookie. Dookie got that person on his shoulder. I never had that person on my shoulder to tell me to do the right thing. The person on my shoulder was like, fuck school, Nay. Fuck that shit. It's other things to do, baby. Not in elementary, though. In high school, child, you couldn't find me in school. Let me tell you, I was so bad that I went to school. You hear me? I went to school, checked in the homeroom, and then left back out. Okay? And then came back in around 7th period. Yeah, that was me. Yeah. Until they told my ass that I wasn't going to graduate. Child, I was there every day. Nothing could keep me from it. Later, as I walked home, I saw some kind of commotion up ahead. A large crowd was gathered with fire engines, police cars, and an ambulance. Someone spotted me and waved me over, saying, Duke, you know your little friend Melvin? He fell off a train and got ground up. Ooh, crushed so bad they could barely recognize his body. I was so shocked and hurt. I cried like a baby. My maternal grandmother, Amanda, was the person who singled me out when I was a child and made me feel special. She picked me even though I had 2 brothers and 3 sisters, and she had other grandchildren, all of my cousins on my mother's side. They all lived close to her across the street and around the corner, but she picked me to run her errands. Made you feel special. I know it did to me. My grandmother picked me. It ain't nothing like, look, I lived with my grandmother. That's special. I got to live with my maternal and my paternal grandmother for a while. I stayed with my maternal grandmother longer because my mom was underage when she had me. But baby, if you fortunate enough to have your grandmother or to have experienced your grandmother or to be having given tools of the world from your grandmother, you are a very special person. You are the ones who can teach your children pride. I was a proud American kid who enjoyed school, my childhood, and most of all, my home. Our house was full of love. I knew my mom worked really hard to take care of us, so I tried hard not to give her any trouble. After my initial aborted attempt at singing a solo, I began to really love music and was disappointed when the director of the school choir informed me that my voice wasn't good enough to sing that year. Once again, I was devastated because of something to do with music. And I ran home to tell my mother. She just smiled and explained that my voice was changing. She reassured me that by the next year, it would be all right. She was right. Baby, I don't know. Troy is about, I think he's 13 now or 12 or 14. I don't know how the ninja is, but I don't know who he is when he called me. I'm like, who is this nigga calling me? At Pershing High School, I began competing in sports, and I went out for the basketball, football, and track teams. I began to concentrate more on athletics than schoolwork, which I took for granted because I was pretty smart. I got good grades in all my classes, especially chemistry. Because I wanted to go to college, I took the college preparatory class in chemistry. In the 3rd week, I lost my book. At this point, my family was very poor. My mother had remarried and my stepfather injured his back on the job at the American Cinder Block Company, and he couldn't work without help. I tried to help him before I went to school. Starting at 4 o'clock each morning, I would then run to my classes and go straight back afterwards at the end of his shift. Our family was struggling to make ends meet, and I didn't want to tell my mom I'd lost my book or ask her to pay for a new one. So I decided I would have to do as well as I could without a book. I never even told my teacher. I don't know why, but I totally enjoyed the challenge. Let me tell y'all something. Pause. One time I took a class, right? I was young. I was on my own. This is when I went back for my second degree at UDC, right? Child, it was a challenge for me to get through this class without buying the book. I would borrow people's book. Tell your children. Tell your children, y'all, I will borrow people's book. Hey, do you mind if I borrow your book this weekend? I promise I'll give it back. Hey, if I don't give it back to you, look, I'll give you the money for the book, okay? Child, I got through so many friggin' classes because them books are friggin' expensive. I know if they were expensive then, they're definitely expensive now. I was paying like $75 for some of these books. And some of these books had like the class and then a lab, okay? And you saying to yourself, wait a minute, mother, my tuition was free. So I didn't have to pay tuition, but what I did have to pay for was my books and my labs. Okay, my tuition was free. It was because my mother worked at the University of the District of Columbia, right? Child, oh my God, I would take them people's books. I would take it to the job, the full-time job that I was working at the time, and I would make copies of like 3 chapters at a time, y'all. So then I wouldn't have to buy the book. So when those 3 chapters were almost up that we had to go through, I would ask somebody else, hey, can I borrow your book? Or ask the same person, can I borrow your book, please? Or can I rent your book for like $5? Like me and my baby mother, we would go through the same classes. It was just that, you know, she took the class at different times. We made sure we did that so then only one of us would have to buy the book. Because that constitutional law, I think that shit was like $85. I was like, what? Tell me I'm lying, y'all. Some of the books that you get when you in college, you don't want to throw them away because you paid so much money for them. Later, I relished the idea that I got through the whole class without a book. I didn't get an A, but I was proud I managed to get a B. More than anything, this was further affirmation that I could overcome any challenge if I just stuck to the task and worked hard enough. I'm telling you, early lessons, man, change your life. While I was at Perishing High, my first year, I really started missing my dad. I told him so, and he said, come stay with me for a little while. So I moved in to his place, and we actually slept in the same bed. We had some good conversations. He would talk to me about the Muslims here in America. He did not want me to get affiliated with them. In fact, I think he even mentioned Louis Farrakhan as a young man because he was just starting to preach about Islamic stuff in Detroit. I listened to everything my dad said, and I really enjoyed being with him. The only challenge was that in 1953, there was a major bus strike in the city. Already done so, please remember to like, share the Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com for our Priscilla personality frames #2. Now remember this, the same people that you meet on the way up will always be the same people that you meet on the way down. My naysayers, my patron loves you, babies. Have a good one. Peace.